Hi, guys. I'm Linda. I'm the old bird. I thought I would come on today and we would practice our A, B, and start on our letter C. And if we have enough time, D. How are you today? I hope you're having an amazing day. Let me tell you where I am. You know, I'm always going out searching for enough internet to come on live. I'm in the car. See, there it is. Now, let me tell you where in the car. Today, I'm in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Little cloudy, little breezy, and hot. It is 85 degrees, but it is muggy and hot. Not as hot as yesterday. We were in the 92 yesterday, but it's hot. And I said, hey, let me go live and we can practice our letters. So I hope you're having an amazing day, and I hope you've been practicing the letter A, letter B, the big A, and the little A, and the big B, and the little B. Capital A, capital B, and little b. So let's get started today. Now, let me tell you where I'm going to put the phone. This is amazing. Okay, there's the roof. I thought if we open, there it is. We're going to open the sunroof and get a little extra light. I'm putting the phone in the sun visor and see, I have my pad on my purse. It's okay. We can do it. Now I have the yellow pad, but I think you'll be able to see this white pad better. And today I have a new pen that I'll be using. It has a grip. I don't know what this is on it. And you can also use it to touch your phone. So we're going to use this pen today. Now let's get started. Did you practice your A? You remember to tilt your paper the bottom to your right so your letters will automatically slant. Now let's practice that letter A. Down a little, up, around, up. You can touch that line if you like. Back down that same line. Don't forget your tail. Little A. Identical. Down a little, round, up, back down that same line, and your tail. Use your 3 lines. Capital A. Down a little, up, around, up, down that same line. Don't forget your tail. Little A. Down a little, up, around, up, down that same line, and your tail. We're using all 3 lines. For the capital A, we're starting at the top line, down a little, around, up, down that same line, and on line 3, we're going to make that tail. Little a, identical, but we're going to use that center line, down a little, up, around, touch the center line, up, down to the bottom line, and make that tail. Capital A, start at the top line, down a little, up, around, up, back down that same line, make that tail on line 3. Little a, starting on the center line, down a little, up, around, up, down that same line. Don't forget that tail. Now, did you practice your letter B? You hold it up. That's the A. Now let's get that B. Smile. On the top line, down to the third. Gonna make that first bump. Come to the center. Stop. Round. Capital B. Capital B. Smile. Down to the third line. Let's make that first bump to the center. Second bump around. That's the capital B. Little b. Start at the third line. Up to the first line, around, down to the third line, up to the center line, and straight out. Start at the third line, up, around, touch the top line, back around to the third, up to the center, and out on that center line. Let's do that little b again. It's a lot involved. Start at the third line, up, around, down to the third line, center line, out. Start at the bottom, third line, up to the top, first line, around, down, center line, out, without lifting your pen. You can do it. Third line, up to the first line, around, back down to the third line, around, stop at the center, straight out. That's the little b. Up, down to the third, stop at the center, straight line. You can do it. Capital B. Smile. Down. Round. Center line. Around. Capital B. Little b. Start at the third line. Up. Touch the first line. Down to the third again. Stop at the center. Straight out. Little b. Capital B. Smile. Down. First bump to the center. Second bump around. Capital B. Little b. Start at the third line. Up to the first line. Around. Round at the third line. Stop at the center. Straight out. That's the little b. Now make sure you practice. The more you practice, the better you'll feel, the more comfortable you'll be in forming these letters. Now today, let's start with our new letter for today, the letter C. We're going to start at the top, and we are not going to lift our writing instrument. You're going to come down just a little, back up, around to the third line, capital C. Just that simple. See, some letters are very easy. Let's do the capital C again. Start at the top line, down just a little, back up, around to the third line. That's the capital C. Just that easy. Let's do it again. Down just a little, back up, around third line, and stop. Now let me tell you where you're going to stop. I know you're saying, okay, how do I know where to stop? You're going to stop halfway between the center line and the third line. You're going to stop. You're just going to eyeball. Let's do it again. Capital C. 1, 2, 3. That's your 3 lines. You're going to start at the top line. Down just a little. Back up, around to the third line, up, and stop. That's your capital C. Let's do it again. Top line, down just a little, back up that line, around, third line, stop. Let's do it again. Down just a little, back up, around, third line, and stop. That's your capital C. It's just that easy. Down, up, around, and stop. That's your letter C. Just that easy. Now look, you remember the capital A? The little A looked identical, only smaller. You used the center line and the third line. It's the same thing with the letter C. C is an easy alphabet to write in cursive. So let's do the small c. 1, 2, 3 lines. We're going to start at the center line. Down just a little, back up, around, stop. Start at the center line. Down just a little, back up, around, and stop. Let's do it again. Center line. Down just a little, around, and stop. Do it again. Start at the center line, down just a little, back up, around, and stop. One more time. Down just a little, back up, around, and stop. That's your little C. Now, let's write them side by side. Capital C. We're going to start at that top line. We're going to come down just a little, back up that same line to the top line, around, and stop. Halfway between the center line and the third line. That's the capital C. Little c. Start at the center line, down just a little, back up, around, and stop. That's the little c. Capital C. Start at the top line, down just a little, back up, around, and stop. Little c. Start at the center line. Same thing, down just a little, around, and stop. Let's do it one more time. Capital C. Down just a little, start at that top line, around, stop. Little c. Start at the center line. Down just a little, around, and stop. You can do it. Let's do it one more time. Letter C. Capital C. Start at the top. Down just a little, come around, past that center line, and stop. Little c. Start at the center line. Down just a little, back around, and stop. Capital C. Down just a little, back up, around, and stop. Little c. Down just a little, up, back around, and stop. Capital C. Down just a little, around, and stop. Stop halfway between the center line and the third line. Just eyeball it. Start with the little c in the center. There we go. Now look, do at least an entire page. I would say 3 pages of the letter C in the capital C and 3 pages of the letter C in the small c, because you want to be comfortable in writing it. Now let's end with doing the letter A, B, and C. Capital A. Start at the top line, down just a little, back up, around, up, down that same line, and make that tail. Little a, the same thing, using the center line, down just a little, back up, around, down that same line. Don't forget that tail. B, smile, capital B. Down, make the first bump all the way to the center line. Second bump, capital B. Little b, start at the bottom at the third line, up to the top, around, back to the bottom, up to the center line, straight out. Little b. Capital C, start at the top, down just a little, back up, around, stop. Little c, start in the center, same thing, down just a little, back up, around to the third line, and stop. That's the capital letter A, the small letter A, the capital B, small b, capital C, small c. Now, just to throw it in, let's try the letter D. Capital D, you're going to smile. Smile, straight down. Got it? Don't lift your pen. Come around, back down, and around. Now, I got off the line. Let's try it again. You're going to smile. Smile, down, start turning. There we go. There we go. I stayed on the line. Even I need to practice. No shame in practicing. Let's try it again. Smile. Don't lift your pencil. We're going to smile on that top line. Straight down to the third line. We're going to come around. Down to the third again. Up, around. Capital D. Let's do it again. Smile. Straight down. Get ready to turn. Back down to the third line. Back around. Capital D. D is a little difficult. Let's try it again. You can do it. Smile. Down to the third line, turn. Back down to the third line, come up to the top. Capital D. Do it again. Let's smile. Down to the third line, get ready to turn. Back down to the third, come on up. Capital D. Got to practice. You can do it. Smile. Down to the third line, let's turn. Down to the third line, capital D. You can do it. Takes practice. You see, mine are not perfect. Smile. Down to the third line, around, back down, capital D. Takes practice. Smile. Down, get ready to turn. Back down to the third line, top line, capital D. Takes practice. That's all. Let's do one more line of the capital D because the little d is a little easy. Smile. Down to the third line, turn, come on up, capital D. Let's try it again. Smile. Down to the third line, get ready to turn, around, come on around, capital D. Smile. Down to the third line, turn, back to the third, around, capital D. Let's do it again. Smile, down to the third line, turn, back down to the third, and around, capital D. One more time. Smile, down to the third line, turn, back to the third, up, around, capital D. Just got to keep practicing. You see these that I messed up. That one, I'm off the line. This one, I'm off the line. This one, I'm off the line. Takes practice, guys. Now let's do the little d. Little d, 1, 2, there you 3 lines. This is how you're going to start. You're going to start away and let's see, D, D, D. I'm sorry, guys. I'm getting ready to do a different letter. I'm sorry. D. We're going to start. Yeah, we're going to start over here. Come up, around, back, around, up to the third line. Don't forget that tail. Let's do it again because I know I messed you up. We're going to make a smile kind of in front of the D. So we're going to come here on the third line, go up, make a half circle, come back around, make that circle up, up, up to the third line, down that same line, and don't forget the tail. That little D is not that easy, is it? Smile, come up. We're going to go around, back around that line, back to the third line, up, back down that same line, and don't forget the tail. Now, you see, I kind of messed up. Got to practice. I didn't practice the D. Let's go. Smile. Up to the center line. Around, back around that same. Make that circle. Up to the third line. Back down that line. Don't forget that tail. Let's practice that little D again because I messed you up. I know I did. And it's okay. We're going to keep practicing. We're going to start with a smile at the bottom third line. We're going to come up, make a circle, back around that circle, complete the circle up to the first line, back down that same line, and don't forget the tail. Let's go. Smile on the third line up. We're going to go around and make that circle for the D. Back around up to the first line, back down that same line, make that tail. Smile up to the second line around. We're going to make that circle up to the first line, back down that tail. Here we go. Smile around to make that circle, back around that circle, up. We're going to come down that same line to make that tail. That's the little D. Let's try it one more time, that little D. We're going to smile up. We're going to come around and make that circle around, up to the first line, back down that line. That's the D. We're going to end in that tail. Let's try it again. I messed you up. Bottom line. Smile up. We're going to make that circle. Come on. Let's make that D to the top line. Come on down. Forget that tail. Let's try it again. Smile around, up, around. We're going to make that circle. Go up to the top line. Come on down that line. Make that tail. It's not that easy, is it? You can do it. I'm telling you, you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. Come on around, up, back down that line, make that tail. Now, you see, I messed that one up, but it's okay because we are what? Practicing. Let's try one last one. Third line, we're going to smile, come around, make that circle up to the top line. Come on down, down. Don't forget that tail. Now, there it is. I hope I'm showing it to you the right way. That's the little D. Let me close my roof. Let's close the roof. Let me get the phone and let's talk. You can do this. I know you can. I'm not an expert. If I can do it, you can do it. Letter D. All it takes is practice. We're going to keep on going. You see, I don't have much internet, and I'm still going. because I can teach you this. I won't be perfect, neither will you, but you'll be able to sign your name. That's our goal. You have got to learn to sign your name. I'm going to be so proud of you when you can sign your name. When I learned to sign my name, I went to the neighbors in my neighborhood and I said, let me sign my name for you. I was so happy I could do it. Oh, when my aunt came to visit, guess what I could do, Aunt Edie? Sign my name. And you'll be just as excited. I don't care how old you are, you'll be just as excited as I was. Thank you for joining the Old Bird today. You never know where I'm going to be. Wherever I am and I can get internet, I'm going to come on and help you with your cursive writing. So come on, join me. Tell me how you're doing. Let me know if you need help in something else. Even if we need to go all the way back and practice the letter A again, even though we're all the way up to D, just let me know and we'll do that. Have a blessed day, guys.